Hey everybody, it's Gail, and today I'm going to show you this 1950s hat and collar that I got from freevintagecrochet.com, which you know is a site I love if you've been around at all. The original pattern is done in size 3 crochet thread. Speed crocheting was a size 3 thread. I ended up using a fingering weight SilkPalca blend from Yarn Dragon. Because fingering weight and size 3 thread can generally be swapped. Size 5 thread can also be swapped at times. It just sort of depends on the exact makeup of the the fingering weight yarn versus the thread. But in most cases, size 3 and fingering weight can be swapped out really easily, which is why I did that. This was another one of those projects that I was working on as we were moving. So the detailing on the original pattern with the beautiful black jet beads, no. And frankly, once we moved, it was still a no because hand sewing tiny black beads, absolutely fucking not. You really, you gotta earn that from me. I also did not make the bag because the bag is simply a rectangle. So, it works, but not doing it. So let's talk about how this is made. So the collar is all single crochet except for the little ruffle at the bottom, which is made of single crochets and chains, and then you work single crochet back across. And so if you were making this to put the beads on it, you'd be sewing the beads onto this final row here. That's why there is a final row of single crochet there, is so you can sew the beads to it. Now, these collars, if you're not familiar with them, collars like this were around forever. They sort of fell off in the 60s, and then there was a resurgence of them in the 70s with very romantic Victorian sort of styles, because this is something that started back then. And the whole idea is to just have a little extra pretty on your outfit. So these are meant to be worn flat against the neck, and now they're supposed to come together. So this one is supposed to come together like that, but clearly not happening on my neck because I have a lot of neck. And I made this 2 pattern rather than adjusting because, again, we were moving. I was just trying to make some yarn flatter. So this is how you would wear it, and you're supposed to wear it with this kind of close-up crew neck collar. Because the whole point is to add a collar to a top to prettify it, to make it look a little more professional, to add a little bit of fun to it. And so that really is the point of collars like this. Now, when I wear it, I will be wearing it with a collar pin, with a set of collar pins, so that I can have it a little bit open at the top, so that it lies the way it's supposed to, but doesn't fucking strangle me. Now, oh my god. So this SilkPalca is just so soft. Like I said, I got it from Yarn Dragon, which is a yarn company in Seattle. They're in Pike's Place Market, and this is their pearl color. And I'm usually a bright color sort of person, but this pearl is just so beautiful. I still have another skein of it. I don't know what I'm doing with it. I think it's $30-ish a skein. It is not a cheap yarn because it is a silk and alpaca blend, and it is hand dyed in small batches. It's gorgeous. Also, I frogged it and reused it for this project, and it still worked out beautifully. So big recommend if you were looking for a really just a really nice yarn that yes, it's going to cost you a little bit, but you're kind of looking into that. I will link to Yarn Dragon down in the basement so that you can go and check out everything they have. I think they're phenomenal. So the next part of this is the hat, and this hat is very interesting because there was, hats were sometimes very, very workaday. You were going out, you had a hat on because it was raining, it was cold, you're expected to wear a hat, and you're not really into it, so you just throw on whatever hat you have. This is 100% a decorative hat. And one of the ways you can tell that is because this is the top of the hat. So the way that this is supposed to work if you're doing the beadwork is that after you finish making kind of this blown out hat, basically, is you then would take the jet beads and work across all of the individual stitches at the top here. And when you're sewing those beads on, that's going to help give it the shape so it sticks out with slightly sharper corners than this has. And the way that you work this, you just work it up in single crochet like any other hat. And then you split it into 4 sections at the top, and each one of these triangles is made individually. So you make this one, and then you make this one, and then you make this one, and then you make this one. But not only are each of them made individually, it is one row at a time. So you complete a row, and then you break off, and then you start a new row with new yarn. You break off, you start a new row with new yarn. I don't know why that was the decision. Not my design. But then when you put it on, you have, here we go. Like it looks like a very standard cute beanie basically, but you would have at the top the points sticking out because of how the beads would help shape it. And this would be a very fashionable, fun hat that is much more about, look at my hat and my collar and my bag that all match together. I'm all put together. It's an all put together. And I have a frivolous hat because I can be frivolous. So yeah, very much what that was going for. I do actually like this just like as is. When I finished it, it was like my ends sewing in got a little rough edge. And I'm like, you know what? We're going to lean into that. Let's just let that be what it is. Honestly, this would be, it's going to be an awesome hat in the winter because my ears get cold, but the top of my head gets warm. So it's going to get worn. And then also I was thinking, I know that there are jogging headbands. There are 100 patterns to make jogging headbands and to make open top beanies to pull your hair through when you're exercising. But also, like, now you can do it vintage. Also, you can see I was not counting my stitches properly when I started, which is what that bubble is right there. That's what happens when you don't use your stitch markers. Look where I started using my stitch markers, so I knew where I was. Use your stitch markers, kids. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. This is a very small project, but it's very fun. If you want to use the SilkPalca to make your own version, you only need 1 skein. And as always, Free Vintage Crochet is a phenomenal resource that's basically run, as far as I can tell, by one person. And so if you enjoyed the free pattern that I will link you to, please click in that pattern where it says what booklet it's from, and then it will take you not only to all of the other patterns in that booklet, but if that booklet is available for sale because the archivist who runs that site took the time to scan it and upload it and put it up for sale, you can buy from her, and then that supports Free Vintage Crochet and also Free Vintage Knitting. So if you are someone who does both, Free Vintage Knitting is also a resource she runs. I've always talked about what a huge fan I am of the site, and this is why I have this cute little set now. Yay. Yeah, I think that'll do it. I think this was a 3.5 hook. I'm like 99% sure. A lot of size 3 thread projects are 3.5 millimeter, but whatever they say, go with that because that's what I did. But I'm guessing because it's been a little while since I made it. So always, if you enjoy what I do here, please like, subscribe, share, tell your friends, all of that fun stuff. And I will see you when I see you.